This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Aidan Bishop, the Executive Director at Bluebird Merchant Ventures. Following news today on the joint venture approach that the company are adopting at their Gubong gold project in South Korea. Well, thank you for joining us today, Aidan. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's a good day.
Indeed it is. We'll talk about that in a moment. And I do recall that we did speak about this joint venture approach about a month ago, and the details, of course, being released today. The announcement of the $5 million farm out agreement with the free carry structure to advance the gold mine to production. So you've got that agreement, it's formalised now. Of course, the share price reacting very positively to that news, and the RNS stating this agreement highlights the belief by both parties that Gubong's circa 1.3 million ounces can be advanced to production. Well, first of all, just give me your reaction to this then. It's obviously quite a big day for the company.
No, it's a very significant step for us. Of course, this approach, this sort of farm out joint venture approach, we've done that in the Philippines at Batangas, which we announced previously. That's going very well and progressing. There'll be some more news in the near future coming out on that, which is all looking great. And so what we learned from that experience was that if we've farmed out a project to a group that's financially capable, and obviously is local, so they have intimate knowledge of the country, the culture, the local area where the mine is. These are things that Bluebird will never be able to, that knowledge, Bluebird itself will never really be able to get in quite the same way. So building on the success of that, we really look towards Korea to think, how do we move these projects forward in Korea? Do we do it ourselves? Do we keep raising money, diluting shareholders and looking to develop the projects? Do we take on, those geopolitical type risks, social risks, local risks? Or do we find a partner that A, is financially capable, and B, understands, knows how to navigate within their culture, within their country, within their language? And that just seems that the much smarter approach. And it looks to me like the market has endorsed that today with the reaction to the share price. And so, we're also looking, of course, to do that at Kochang. And if we're able to successfully do that, then now Bluebird is holding free carries right now on projects, but our whole portfolio. So if we get to that point, then that's a great position to be in as a company, where your project development risk in three projects is now being mitigated, and we can really look forward to those projects being advanced, and it's a great place to be in.
Well, yeah, it is. And I'm glad you've mentioned about Kochang there, because I'm going to ask if you want to repeat the model here, and you've suggested today that you do want to do that. Where would that leave the company then as an operator in this space? I did note from the RNS that your technical services could be chargeable at the joint venture at market rates. But I mean, if you do get all these sort of joint ventures in place and that free carry, what will the company do? You won't just sit on your hands, I presume, and wait for all the good stuff to come to you.
No, of course not. I mean, I think if you look at the Bluebird team, Colin Patterson, 4 decades or so of experience in gold mining, particularly, narrow vein underground gold mining, which is pertinent towards Korea. Of course, Colin had a big success previously in the Philippines. So what Bluebird brings to this joint venture is experience in mining, the technical capability and know-how, and our joint venture partners are able to tap into that expertise should it wish to. And of course, that would be chargeable to the joint venture. So I think it really is a good place for the company to be in. And I think, who knows where the company will go as these projects develop and advance. We have lots of options.
Well, yes. I mean, let's talk about the size and scale. I mean, of course, historically, this project here, there was a gold mine in South Korea, and I think the resource estimation was 2.34 million at 6 grams per ton gold. And you've said the company believes there's a potential resource of 1 million in situ. Now, so just tell us a bit about the opportunity here. We talk about circa 1.3 million ounces in total. What are we sort of talking about as a real nice sort of figure to understand what the potential is?
Well, several years ago, we had a geologist, a competent person, produce a competent person's report for us. And it was his feeling that there was the potential was for over 1 million ounces. I think the important thing to realize is that there's over 100 kilometers of underground infrastructure. So a lot of costs have already been taken up in the workings of the previous mine. So given where gold prices are today, it's an extremely profitable proposition to bring Gubong back into production. And my opinion is that once that starts to happen and gold is coming out of the ground once again in South Korea, it's going to be really, really exciting, not just for the company, not just for our shareholders, but also in Korea to see the revitalization of the mining industry. And Gubong, I think, is we've always said, Colin's said a number of times that Gubong always has the potential to be a company maker. Kochang, of course, is smaller but easier, given the access point is literally 10 meters from the road. Batangas is not an old mine, although there is old workings in the area of Batangas. That's a new mine going into development. But again, if you look at the last, I think it was a pre-feasibility study done about 10 years ago or so by our previous partners there, again, the production costs were very low. And so those will be reworked in due course to be updated in the current context. But again, we have 3 mines with low mining costs. So great potential across the portfolio there to bring those projects all into production. And we have the potential to be, a junior producer. That's what we want to do.
Good. Well, you've said it a couple of times, being a producer there, getting gold out of the ground in South Korea is, of course, very well timed with the gold price just off of all-time highs, but holding at that 2,300 level for the moment there. And $1 million to get you started is not too bad, really. If we can forget the further upside, $1 million to get going is not too bad. So you talk in the RNS about these staged payments or this staged approach. There are 3 stages to it. Could you perhaps just briefly go over the stages? And if you can, give a suggested sort of time frame for each of those stages and what might be the milestones along the way.
Yeah, so typically when you look at a farm out agreement or a company that's farming into a project, it's normally done in a staged way where there's a sort of headline commitment, a number that they will invest in up to or towards, and the stages are then identified. So we have 3 stages at Gubong. And really, if you look at those stages of what they're meant to achieve, permitting, of course, is one of the milestones. And then a development report, which is basically the plan. This is where Bluebird's expertise would be invaluable on exactly what we're going to do or how this mine is to be brought into production and ultimately developing a mining plan. Much of this was already done previously by Bluebird with its recently exited joint venture partner, Southern Gold. So some of these numbers, some of this work we already have. And so then the final phase, of course, is implementation of the development plan, which is to bring about production.
Okay. And I mean, any kind of guess on the timeline?
I'm not very good at guessing on timelines, and historically Bluebird hasn't been good at estimating those types of things. So I don't think we should really be putting a timeline. What I can say is that I think we can be a lot more confident in our local partners, the fact that they've come into, to make this commitment, to be able to take on this task and this farming. And I think that we can be very much more confident in what they're doing rather than my ability to predict timetables.
Okay. Good. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Aidan Bishop, Executive Director at Bluebird Merchant Ventures.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.